One of the many things about Donald Trump that really impresses me as I watch him act as president is the way he lets events move the country till it's ready for his policies and doesn't get out in front by advocating policies that the public isn't ready for. Henry Kissinger once articulated the philosophy of government that I've always believed in. He said that a statesman's duty is to bridge the gap between his nation's experience and his vision. So if his vision gets too far out ahead of the nation, he loses his mandate. Obama on health care is a good example. But if his vision hews too close to the conventional, he loses control over events. Bush's economic policy is a good example of that. So what Trump is doing is on those issues where he already has a majority, like immigration and refugees and Obamacare repeal, he's just going straight forward and going at it. But on those issues that take a little bit of work, he's letting events move ahead of him to shape the rhetoric and shape the situation so that he can then move in. Take, for example, the issue of whether to cut off the filibuster in the Senate. Instead of coming right out at the beginning and said, I'm going to eliminate the filibuster, it's undemocratic and I want to get rid of it, and I can't pass my bills having to get 8 Democrats in the Senate on everything because they won't approve. Instead, he puts out the nomination of Gorsuch, a completely reasonable appointment. Nobody can oppose. He's got the academic credentials. He was recommended by the Bar Association. He was unanimously confirmed for the appellate court. And the opposition to him is a contrivance. And he lets that out there. And then he lets the Democrats hunker down and oppose it and do everything they can to stop it. And then he says, see, I need to get rid of cloture. And the Democrats are making the case and building his audience for him. Another good example is how he's treating Iran. At the start, in the blizzard of his first 2 weeks of action, I expected him to tear up that treaty, demand a renegotiation, and really push forward aggressively on Iran. Instead, there wasn't a word. And he's waited until Iran violates the treaty, as it arguably is done by testing ballistic missiles. Now, with Iran breaking the treaty, and he'll probably wait for even further dramatic breaks, he then has a prospect of moving forward to abrogate the treaty with European support and global public opinion support, because he's waited until Iran moved first. And for a guy who is as action-oriented as Trump is, and as decisive, it really must take a conscious act of restraint to wait while other stuff goes on. And I think it's terrific that he's done that. By the way, I don't want to let the moment pass without commending Trump and the Republicans on a very important bill that they just passed. They repealed the federal streams legislation, executive order. That was an order in EPA that said that any stream and any pond anywhere in the country that is even vaguely related to flowing into a major waterway can be regulated by the EPA, which meant that basically everybody's backyard can be regulated by the federal EPA. And there are instances where they cracked down and went crazy at lakes that were entirely in somebody's property and streams that fed those lakes. Gross overreach. And now Congress has, for the second time in history, used the power it gave itself in 2002 to repeal federal regulations, and has repealed that regulation, and Trump has signed the repealer. Great moving and great going, guys. So far, the Republicans are doing very well in maintaining cohesion and unity behind Trump. And even when they have an unpopular and difficult decision, like they do on confirming Betsy DeVos, the education secretary, they let a few members who are especially vulnerable vote against her, and all of the others vote for her to give her enough to pass. It's real discipline, it's real party unity, and I'm very proud of those guys. Thanks for watching.